Hello, hello, hello. We are live. Oh, I see you. If you can send me a request, Coleman. Hi, everyone. Hello. I don't remember how to send a request. Let's see. No, I don't want to press something and lose you. Coleman, if you can just send me a request because I'm concerned that if I press a button, I have no idea where I'll be. I'm trying to send it. Okay, let's see. Question? No, no questions. I'm afraid to press anything. Oh, I see it. Front row. Front row. Invite. Why is it when we're figuring something out, we have to say it out loud and sometimes sing it, right?
There
Hey, we are live.
there it
Hey,
is.
that's it. We're done.
Yeah.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you. Welcome everyone. Okay, I'm reading the comments. Hey, Sherry. Hey, Yana.
Yeah.
Hey, Marie. Welcoming everyone in. One of the things I'm excited is we didn't really speak prior to this, and that's why I wanted everyone to just get the real you and I kind of speaking all things yoga.
Yeah.
As we go. Okay, there's some more coming in. So Coleman, Francis Coleman, welcome.
Yeah.
Excited to have you.
Really my pleasure. Looking forward to this.
Thank you. So why don't you, you know what, because I know we have some of your followers on. I am Francis with Yoga Love Magazine, and we're so excited to have this conversation with Coleman of Front Row Yogi, to have, to just speak about, I'm sure we'll touch on diversity, we'll touch on inclusion, representation, and all things your festival, and I'll kind of give you a little background on us as we go along. So Coleman, tell me about yourself first.
Yeah, so from Jersey, military brat, grew up in Newark, traveled around quite a bit, and the yoga space, I say I stumbled into it, but you really never stumble into the space. I used to be a crime scene investigator, and while investigating a homicide, I met one of my mentors who started teaching me yoga and teaching me meditation. And that was back in 1997, 98. And I've been practicing ever since, trying to share as much as I possibly can and give as much as I possibly can in the space. But yeah, this has been quite an amazing journey, and I've enjoyed it.
Wonderful. I often, I've said on our lives before, I'm here in New York from the Bronx, and the same, right? We say we fell into yoga, but somehow the universe just knows what we need. And, you know, my temper, New York is just, and you know, being from Jersey, New York is just fast paced. It's a crazy place. And I remember my first class, it was the first time I felt a calmness. Mm-hmm. And this is 30 years ago. And one of the things I definitely wanted to talk to you about is I remember being the only person of color in the class. And for years, for a good 20 years, I was always that one little drop. But I always returned.
Yeah.
It kept calling me, but I was the only person that looked like me. So how has that experience been for you?
Oh yeah, quite the same. And it's weird because my first mentor in the space was an older Black male. So that's all I've ever known. Like that's all I've ever known as far as that.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So a few times when I would go into the class, it's always like, do you belong here? So on my page, I dropped a video talking about my very first time going into a yoga studio. And it basically talks about how you're a little bit intimidated. So I put my mat in the back right-hand corner just in case I wasn't really good at yoga. I could slip out. No one would notice me. And so being invisible in that space is pretty much equivalent to being invisible in all spaces. But the whole front row yogi tag is that over time,
I love that.
I just slowly but surely started working my way up towards the front row.
Oh,
It
I
took me
love
maybe
it.
3 years. But the key to it is when I got to the front row, instantly I realized that I was always a front row yogi. It's just about where you place your mat. But
Yes.
in actuality, the front row space lives in your heart. So you take it wherever you go. And the cool thing about it is that you can see inside the studio and outside the studio, my life was on parallel tracks. And that was the beautiful thing about the whole front row yogi journey, is that it's truly about the journey. And that's the most important piece. And the journey never ends. It never ends. So
Yeah, and life will pull us in different directions. So tell me about, so you started from crime scene investigation, and then you meet, and from New York or New Jersey, you meet this mentor, and then how did your relationship with yoga grow?
So my relationship really, really, really took off when my dad passed away, where I really just decided, okay, I'm gonna just lean into this space, because I've always been around the edges, the periphery. But when my dad passed away, it gave me an opportunity to like really deep dive into the space. And I started asking questions, but not asking questions in a way that I would get the answer that I wanted. I just started asking questions, and I was open to whatever the answer would be.
Wow.
And so that's what yoga was starting to teach me. It's just like balanced, peaks and valleys. But eventually, once you get that balance, you don't want the peaks too high, you don't want the valleys too low. And that's how I really started diving deep. And like you're saying, when you're in the space, if you're the only brown person, let alone a male, and you look like I look, and you sound like I sound, and I'm a really big, muscular guy, and blah, 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 blah. I'm the literal definition of the boogeyman in some ways.
Oh.
Yeah, so, which is fine. I mean, because at some point you start understanding like how the world works, but it's just, well, how do you begin to shift that narrative? You just have to be what it is that you want the world to see you as, and really don't care how they see you.
And what's important too is one of the many reasons I love working for this magazine is, you know, first of all, it's Latina owned, so
Nice.
they're already, yeah. It's, and then we bring diversity, and so it's diversity that you can see, which is important, right? Because you have to see someone who looks like you. So I was curvy and brown. I didn't fit in. Everyone was size 2. And I was far from a 2. And wondering like where I don't fit in here, but it always pulled me in. So it was always enough, that pull, to stay. But the importance of, you know, I can tell you how many times I've seen Black men in my classes, which is very rare, very rare. So, I mean, I speak about my own representation. It's like, it's not rare where I have Black men in classes, which is beautiful when you see them, but recognizing that it's just not something that's seen. So that's why we like to have, as soon as I saw you, and we'll get into your festival, I was like, wait a minute, Black man with a festival? We've got to show this representation, and that's what this magazine is really all about. I mean, it is just showing all types of, you know, inclusivity and representation in the space, right? And not specifically asana, but in meditation, in, you know, everyone, you hear yoga, they think yoga, and for those who don't know, asana meaning the poses that are done in a class, but they hear yoga and that's what they think, and they don't recognize this, because I know you have, and I don't, well, we'll get into it, but I know you have sound healing and you know, there's meditation, so there's all these different aspects. So to have people of color and seeing that is amazing. So now, did you go to studios when you started, or were you studying from home quietly and had your mentor?
Yeah, so that's pretty much my approach. Just study quietly with my mentors, like really delve into it, because I'm more interested in the philosophy side of it. So that was always my thing. And then that led towards my PhD in metaphysical science. And
Oh, wow.
so the thing for me is I'm a big learner. Like I like to read and I like to learn.
Okay.
And it just aligned with me. And my mentor would tell me, listen, as much as you love to read, you could live to be 150 and you'll never read all of the Vedas. You'll never understand all of the Vedas. And that was kind of intriguing to me, because that means I get to learn to the day I drop dead. So that was,
if we're lucky, right?
If we're lucky. And so that was always the thing that lit a fire under me. And then also, like you said, just a representation. So once I started going to classes, it was weird because I'm like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But then you flip the hat, and then once I started teaching classes, it became even weirder.
Yes. Wait, where's the teacher? I'm the teacher.
Exactly. Like
you're speaking to the teacher.
I would walk in the classroom and they would look at me like, oh, wow. And then I would keep walking towards the front and they're thinking like, oh, wow. But then when I would put my mat down in the very, very front, they would be like, yeah.
But isn't it wonderful how it just takes that one time for then that to change their perspective of what now they see as a yoga teacher, right? Like that's the importance of representation. For those of us who are used to being in a space and the only one, once you're the teacher up front, now those new students like, oh, well, my first teacher was Black. My first teacher was Latino. Whatever it is, like that's all I know. I didn't know that this was uncommon.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And to be absolutely honest with you, my approach was I wanted to allow men who looked like me to know that it was perfectly okay to be in this space.
Yeah. Because
I'm always telling people, our ancestors, like, we are yoga. We're the essence of yoga.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 51 years old. Whenever I take a cruise, I have the armbands on. I have the patches behind my ears. I have all of this stuff to stop me from getting sick, nauseous.
Oh.
And what do you rely on the most? When you get nauseous, you rely on your breath. Well, that's yoga.
Yeah.
So now think about this. Our ancestors were ripped from their land, put in the hulls of ships, went from shore to shore over a sea they had never been on before. What's their one anchor that kept them completely at peace in the worst situation? It was their breath. Yeah. And that's yoga in its truest essence. So I'm like, we are yoga. Yeah. Our ancestors proved that we are yoga. We're spiritual at heart. So for me, that's always been my biggest thing. It's just like, nah, bro. We belong. We're in the space. We are the space. Like,
it's interesting because we're over here telling people like, no, it's actually us.
Yeah, it's right? like we are the space. And my biggest concern is that we don't see each other in the way that we need to see each other. So if I see a Black male walking to class and they see I'm the teacher, you can automatically tell there's a stress relief. Automatic.
Yeah, they belong, right? Like,
they belong.
Comfort.
Yeah. Automatically, they can tell they belong. And that's the space that we have right now. We started off with 7 people. I was like, I want to teach a free class at the park. We started off with 7. On average, we got up to 50, 60, 70 people. And it's always
now,
free.
How long ago was this, by the way? So
3
when did
years.
this start?
3 years.
3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years.
So this was although Atlanta, we're not going to talk about whether or not the pandemic happened over there. we won't go there.
But, it was 2019.
So it was
pre-pandemic.
Okay.
Pre-pandemic. And then from there, we just slowly grew and we slowly grew. And I would have a lot of people come up and say, man, how's your space so diverse? And it's simple, because I don't talk about what makes us different.
Yeah.
I only speak about what makes us identical.
Yeah.
We all want to feel safe and we all want to feel welcome. And you have to rely on other people to help you facilitate those emotions. So that was our deal. I don't talk about what makes us different.
So now one thing I do know is that Atlanta, because you're in Atlanta, right?
Yes.
Has an amazing fitness scene.
Yeah.
I feel like I belong because I take a lot of classes virtually from studio that's in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
So I follow a lot of folks who are really into, and you have an amazing fitness scene there.
Yeah.
Now, how does that translate to wellness? Because I actually don't know of many. I've seen some, but I don't know how the community is there with wellness, with yoga and wellness. So if you could speak to that.
So it's growing. It's growing, and it's growing at a pretty nice rate because a lot of people that live in Atlanta, they're not from Atlanta.
Yes.
Which is kind of nice because you have like this melting pot. So you have all these different ideas and you have all of these different types of energy, but we come together. But it is growing. Okay. And it's growing exponentially. Where maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe not so much. But the scene, the health and fitness out here is amazing. So the switch now is becoming, how do we focus more on our mental health through the physical health? And that's the big shift. That's the paradigm shift now that we're working on. How do we become more aware that our mental health is the most important health?
So I will say, and again, you and I didn't speak. So we co-produce Soulfest.
Mm-hmm.
It was Soulfest NYC, and then it became Soulfest Revolution because it was started in Harlem, and then we were beginning to take it to other cities, but then the pandemic happened, so that stopped. And our first was DC.
Nice.
And because of the pandemic, we couldn't do it in person. So we have this background of creating community because that's what we wanted to do. We have on stage just a diversity and representation so that specifically Harlem, I mean, it being based there so that the community can see
mm-hmm.
and see what yoga looks like, right? So I know how that is to put together a festival. Now, let's talk about this amazing festival that you're having in Atlanta.
Yeah, super excited.
Yeah,
super excited. Literally just got finished doing the walkthrough, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. So it's going to be amazing.
So where is it going to be? What's the date? Tell us all where is it going to be held for everyone who's local to Atlanta? The date, but also what can they expect? What kind of teachers? What are you providing?
Yeah, so Piedmont Park Promenade, May 21st. It'll start off at 9:00 with a 5K. Then after the 5K, we'll start welcoming everybody into the space that's going to hold 1,500 people. And we plan on packing it out. And then from there, we'll have 3 different asana classes. And all of the teachers are really dope and they're local. So that was the thing I wanted. I wanted all of the teachers to be local.
Yep.
So when we finish the fest, you have accessibility to the teachers you just rock with.
Yeah.
So that was the mindset for me. We're going to do sound bowl healing and we're going to do a Kundalini class.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then afterwards, we'll do a heart chakra meditation and then we'll have like a question and answer session. So it's a full day. It's from 9 to 5. It's a full day. Have vendors out there. We're going to encourage people to bring a small cooler and just make a full day of it. Because every Saturday morning after this, I teach a free class at the park anyway. And so last year we decided, let's make the first class a celebration. And I'm like, let's make the first class a full out festival. I'll go get some of the teachers.
Go big, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'll get some of the teachers I'm really cool with. I'll have them come in and teach as well. We'll have some vendors, small vendors. And then from there, we're just going to have an amazing time.
It's a nice day with, community. And I love it because that's what, Soulfest was. And I just remember, the reason I talk about it is because of the pandemic, we haven't had it in 2 years and we missed it. We went online last year, but it's not the same. New York is, unlike Atlanta, New York is opening. We're open now. But
we've been open. We never closed.
You never listen. I was taking my virtual class. I was like, they don't have any on. There's no pandemic there, but that's a whole nother life. That said, it really did affect us because we haven't had. I've only taken maybe 2 in-person classes in the last 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we lost a lot of studios. That's a whole that's a whole lot. That said, it's beautiful to hear about community, right? And everyone coming together and learning because unfortunately, you know, folks need to bring people with them and experience things in groups in order to try something. So for you to be bringing Kundalini,
Yeah.
that's,
And it's all so different. And I think for me, what I'm most proudest of is that the space is so welcoming for everybody. It's like when I was a police officer, I didn't have to tell you that I'll take you to jail because I'm wearing a uniform and a badge and a gun. So you know that. That's part of the job. And it's the same thing when I teach every weekend. You have all of these beautiful different people that come and show up. And I don't have to tell you that it's a space that's welcoming for everybody, or in particular welcoming for me, because I'm in the space. And that's always so amazing, that how when people feel safe and they feel welcome, they just behave differently.
yeah.
They just behave differently. So the fest is like this culmination of us learning how to treat each other with truth, love, and compassion over the past 3 years. And this is what it's boiling down to.
So are you in a studio, or you where do you teach?
No, so all of my students are private, and I just teach the one free class a week, 7 months out of the year. That's it. But I mentor a lot of people in the space.
That's cool. So, okay, so you have Kundalini. What you said, you had 3 asanas?
Yes. So we'll probably do a vinyasa class. We'll do a yin class, and then there's sort of like a hybrid. But everything is about just slowing down. Everything is about slowing down.
Let me speak to the slowing down. The New Yorker in me always I like power yoga.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. I like power yoga, make it hard. I want to feel things. And it took years for me to recognize that I needed the yin. I would never do yin.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing yin. They're not moving. That's too slow. And forget about restorative. Not doing restorative. Like, that's not happening for me. and it's so typical to a New York brain, right? Mm-hmm. Like, why aren't they moving? Why is it so slow? What's that going to do for me?
Yeah.
And the years that it took to see. And I bring this up to show whomever is listening to this live after, you know, if you don't know about yoga and asana, you don't know the variety of classes there are out there, right? So you have the folks who think yoga and think, well, I don't want to get on my head and bring my leg around my neck, and then you have the ones like me that would think like, well, that's too slow. So I offer for everyone to just learn what the different types of asana, the different types of classes that you will find, some of them slow, some of them fast, because we need both at different times throughout our lives, right? Sometimes we need the energy of a fast pace or challenging class, and sometimes we need to slow it down. And so it's really nice that you're bringing that.
And the most challenging thing, I think, for most students that I try to get them to be aware of is like, listen, when you're practicing asana, if your asanas are not wrapping around your breath, then you're not practicing asana. You're making shapes with your body.
Yep.
So a lot of times people, their breath will be chasing their posture. And in actuality, their posture should just be a little bit behind the breath. And that's the discipline part of just a nice, calm, peaceful, equanimous breath. And that's the beautiful thing about yoga, is that you can find your own lane and you can just vibe out, with the breath being the absolute focal point of your practice.
Yeah. And it's those times where you notice, like throughout the pandemic, when things were a little crazy, I would take a few classes virtually and feel like, oh, that didn't feel good, because although I moved and I it was great, I couldn't seem to connect with my breath.
That's the key.
Yeah. And you notice, I mean, and some, you know, that happens, and that's okay. But you recognize, okay, what's going on? Why is this happening? What can I explore? But, you know, in speaking with what you were just saying. Now, how can we get tickets to your festival? We're all packing up and coming.
So we just dropped the Eventbrite this morning. So we officially did the Eventbrite, and everybody was just like, Coben, it's a free event. So we did the Eventbrite because we really want to have a better understanding of how many people we have showing up. So if they go to the Eventbrite, just type in Front Row Yogi, it's gonna pop right up. Grab the tickets and come on out, and we're gonna
And
have
it's a free event, correct? It's a free event.
anything with Front Row Yogi attached to it will always be free.
Wow.
Like always. I've never charged a penny for anything, and I never will. Like the vendors that's showing up, free of charge, except I'll handpick the vendors I want, but I understand and I know that they're about the work.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that. And everything is just donate back to the space. If you want to donate back to the space, you can. If not, it doesn't even matter because I was going to be out here anyway. Like that's
and
really
it's community, right? They're donating back into, they're pouring into their own community.
Pouring back into the community. And the beautiful part about that is that you can see it in real time. Like we started off with 7 people in the first class, which is a divine number. We started off with 7, and now we're about to have a full-on fest with close to 1,500 people in 3 years.
That's fast.
In 3 years. And so I was talking to one of my students yesterday about how this came about. I'm a big person that believes in dreams. And so for me, how do dreams become reality? If you are the dreamer, you have to have someone that believes in you as much as you believe in your dream. And that's the only way that it comes true, and the universe won't have it any other way, and why should it? So dreams come true. You can think of a person that believed in you more than you believed in yourself. So they believe in your dream, but they just go through you. But now this is the flip side. The flip side is what? To whom are you going to be that facilitator of a dream? Wow. When that person is down on their luck, you smile at them. You tell them, okay, I don't have to believe in your dream. No one had to believe in the fest. They just had to believe in me. And I'm going to make it happen. So I'm always very cognizant of the fact, but for the grace of God and people who have chosen to love me, and you're now one of those people who have chosen to love me, I am here. And that's you helping facilitate the dream. And that's a powerful thing, that you have the ability to help someone facilitate a dream that'll change the world. And that's what this is. This is another dream being fulfilled, but because of people like you and a lot of students I've known that believe in me. And that's what allows me to believe in accomplishing the dream.
Oh, that was beautiful. And I have chills. Whew, get my breath here. It's community, right? It's all of us. It really speaks to all of us pouring into one another.
Yeah, we have.
Right. I just saw your page and I saw, wow, someone who can represent for a community that is underserved, but also, like you said, all of us, all of us being in community with one another. That's what's beautiful about, one of the many things that's beautiful about yoga, that we can sit in classes and see different types of people, different colors, different shapes, different sizes, different whatever. And those are the beautiful classes. And spaces rather that we see. So I'm really excited for your festival. I'm sure they can go to, I'm thinking they can go to your bio, Front Row Yogi. So you can follow him on Instagram. Is there anything else you wanted to add before I wrap up on some magazine stuff?
No, I just wanted to say thank you guys so very much for believing in the dream and having the ability to say, you know what, this is a space, or this is a story that has to be told or should be heard. And I'm big on that as well. So I appreciate it so very much.
There's a meme that goes around that says no one supports you better than social media people you've never met.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the beauty of it.
I think a part of that is because we know what it's like to just support people and need that support. And you can tell when it's really built on like the stuff of the real DNA. Like, oh wow, they know what this is like because they understand it. That's why they want to support. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
That's exactly what it was. When we saw festival, we were like, wow, he's putting together a whole festival, the first one. We can remember 5-6 years ago.
Oh, trust me, Francis. I was just talking to one of my friends last night. and I was talking to the people that's helping me facilitate it. I was like, my God, this is an undertaking, but this is the key. We've already locked down the park next year, and we're expanding it to 2.5.
You learn, right? Like, all right, well,
Yeah.
we have clipboards, and there's like, and volunteers. There's
Yep.
so much work. There's a lot of work. We start working on the festival, like you're doing. As soon as it ends, we probably get a month off, maybe, of like just to decompress,
Yep.
and we roll right into the next one the following year.
And that's exactly what I said, listen, when this fest is over, I'll take a little time off, and then we're going to start planning the fest next year, because we're going to expand it to 2 full days.
Wow. We're coming.
Yeah, definitely. So there you go. I got you on record. We got you on live.
I know, because he's the proof. We want a little booth. We're coming with all of our things.
There you go.
You get bigger every year, but you learn. You learn every year, and you also learn, and that's what's good about, this practice of like, you have your plan, and then you have how things turn out.
You have how things turn out.
And you have to be okay with, I'm definitely guilty of being like a time organized person, and you realize like that is just not going to work.
It doesn't work.
It's just not going to work. It's just like, as long as everyone has a good time.
That's it.
That's the best we can do. But I'm really excited. I'm excited for what this festival is going to bring to the community, especially in Atlanta, where, like I said, I do know that you have a good fitness community. But to bring this wellness is really exciting, and see where you grow. Well, it's an honor to have spoken with you. And whatever we can support, we got your back. Definitely. Because we know how challenging. I can't wait to see what you did next year. I do want to tell our audience that we have SoulFest coming up on October 1st. And Coleman, come on over to New York. You clearly have people on this side.
Yeah. That's home for me. I'm coming.
We would love to have you. And we do the same thing. It's community driven. So we have local community teachers, because they need to be shown the love too, right? Because they're the ones that are holding us up every day. It's co-produced by New York Yoga and Life magazine. And we are having our premiere issue. We've been in this game, but now we're Yoga Love magazine. So our premiere issue will come out, will be revealed at SoulFest. So follow me, follow Yoga Love magazine, follow SoulFest. Please support Coleman and Front Row Yogi. If you're in Atlanta or the surrounding areas, please be sure to head over to Eventbrite and join and share the love. And if anyone wants to volunteer for SoulFest or for your Atlanta festival, I'm sure volunteers are always welcome.
Yeah.
Hit us up, DM whomever, we can connect. Listen, DM whomever, and we can connect anybody with who they need to be connected with. And if anyone in your community wants to share events or just share what they're doing, I did take a look at the person doing the sound bowl.
Yeah, EJ.
He was awesome. And another one I'm not used to seeing, someone who looks like that doing sound healing. Yeah. Right? DJ. So I was like, I like this.
DJ.
Yeah. So DJ, hit me up. Let's talk. Let's share the love. Let's just share community and grow our own communities, individually and together.
I'm completely for it, and I look forward. Thanking you guys for sponsoring the event, because this is just as much as important as any sponsorship to me. And when I do my wall with all the sponsors, you guys will be on there with family. And I'm going to make it a point. I'm going to make it a point to come back home for you guys as fast.
Cool.
And build a bridge. Like, we can build a nice bridge from Atlanta back home.
Yeah, and again, the magazine is national. We used to be just New York, so now we're national, and that's what's great, because we can share. Now we get to share all the teachers in different areas and what everybody's doing, and different communities. So I'm excited about this.
I'm excited about that as well.
All right, well, take care. Thank you, Coleman. Bye, everyone.
Truly my pleasure.
Same here.
Talk to you guys later.
I have to figure out how to get off.
Yeah.
Take